Before I start the chapter review, I just want you guys to see the new record Kagurabachi has broken on its third chapter release. Kagurabachi viewed by 10 billion people on the planet, outselling Dragon Ball and Pokemon. It's a Kagura world the way they just bocce this shit. Now let's start the chapter review. A new character named Takeru Hokazono, also known as Hinao, is introduced. Hinao's role is to provide employment opportunities to swordsmen involved with sorcerers, so the sorcerers can be hired to watch your back. We know these sorcerers are powerful as hell too. We saw that with just 2 chapters. Given their abilities, it makes sense for them to offer their services as hired security to protect people. I kind of like where they're going with this because it also grants us the opportunity to finally see some not so evil sorcerers as new characters who can add something else to the story rather than just villainous sorcerers. Now for the number of sorcerers. We discovered that there's over 1,000 of them in Japan, so it's only a matter of time before we see all kinds of wacky abilities from these guys, and I'm actually excited to see how creative this series can get with the sorcery involved. I already love the concept of mystic swords. 3 years ago, Hinao and Shiba encounter each other following the death of Rokuhira. Hinao agrees to assist Shiba in any way possible, which ends up being obtaining information about the Hishaku and anything about the mystic katanas. She goes a while without hearing anything, but everything changes when a young girl named Sharu enters her establishment. Sharu claims to possess details that could help them all and potentially lead them to one of the mystic swords. But her reasoning for coming there is because Sharu's life is in danger as she's being pursued by dangerous people. Enter Chihiro and Shiba, and he now straight up disses Shiba by telling him to shut up and how he's gross and shit. Now personally, Shiba, I wouldn't take that, but that's just me though.
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though.
Shiba, you really gotta learn how to Kagura the Bachi when you're talking to women. She's cool to Chihiro though, and it's a little early to tell, but she may have a thing for Chihiro. I don't know, did you guys get that feeling too, or was it just me? Let me know. But they're here for the information on the mystic sword, to where he now points them to a sleeping Sharu. She wakes up and they try to question her, but this girl doesn't have a house, no family. It seems like she's a runaway or someone who's been abandoned by her family at a very young age. Chihiro's action in the next part shows that he's at least an admiral character even now, and I'm sure he got that from his father because he notices Sharu's stomach growling, so he treats her to some soba, which does create a sense of comfort and trust between the two. But despite warming up to Chihiro, Sharu remains concerned as fuck about these bad people after her. The whole time she's just hesitant and anxious to give any reasons why she's being chased and not really helping the overall situation. Understandably though, considering the shit we witnessed in the previous chapter, when someone did try to talk and expose information, we saw him get clapped in an instant before he squealed. So this leads me to think of 2 scenarios. Either 1, Sharu might possess something within her body that could cause a similar explosive outcome and she's aware of it, or 2, she's encountered enough horrifying acts by these guys that even without anything inside her, she's still too terrified to speak up. I'm also thinking Sharu became targeted simply by chance since she said she doesn't have a home or family and stumbled across these villains and witnessed their involvement in a brutal murder or some other crazy shit. If this is the case, it adds another interesting layer to the bad guys because it shows us the complete disregard these dudes have for the well-being of children. Their devotion to silence any witness, even if it's a child, and shows us the lengths they're willing to go to maintain their secrecy. So Chihiro's like, hey, if you're not gonna speak, then Shiba's gonna send you to an orphanage because they can't just leave her stranded after hearing her story. Nice to see Chihiro has a caring heart after seeming so angry all the time and acting like a young Sasuke who never wanted to smile. Eventually, she mentions the person who chased her had a katana that clouds would come out of, and I need to see that now. That sounds like a real badass sword. Just think about what something like this could probably do. I'm imagining cloud manipulation where someone wielding its power can use clouds to create lightning, fogs, summoning strong winds, maybe even add different elements to the clouds, and maybe something similar like Nami from One Piece, illusions like a mirage to fool opponents. I'm gonna come back to this video if I'm right. Most likely this is one of the mystic swords some guy has. He also didn't have a mark on his hand according to Sharu, which means it can't be the exact group we saw for Chihiro's flashback who slaughtered his dad. The 3 of them all had this marking on their hand, but this doesn't mean these guys Sharu is mentioning doesn't have some sort of link to them. And while the 2 is talking, we have some dude in the background walk by and take a seat, but he's not ordering anything and actually causing a scene with the waiter. And shit goes left. This guy uses fucking chopsticks at the table to stab the waiter in the neck. Sounds like a kill you'd hear about in John Wick. So when Chihiro finally sees this and tries to ask the guy what the hell he's on, he says, "Furaku," and an explosion goes off. Furaku. This is another sorcerer. This guy is a menace. He doesn't wait a second to conversate before he whips out his explosive to blow shit up. And if explosions is his sorcery, then I can't wait to see what Chihiro's gonna do to counter this. And finally, it's not some weakling Chihiro's fighting either. This guy has a presence that he knows what he's doing and can seriously cause some trouble for our protagonist, especially because he has a hostage. But it also gives us an opportunity to see Chihiro's real strength if he starts using it. And Sharu wasn't bluffing. Yeah, remember I said about a hostage? Well, this guy is after her and has her in his possession, leaving Chihiro no choice but to try and save her life and get the lead that he's been looking for. This guy is definitely the way to get a steady track on where these other Hishaku members are at, or at the very least, the way to this cloud katana. So far, this guy doesn't have a sword on him, at least what I'm looking at here, but I'm not sure if you can just summon the swords when you want to, or if he's saving it for a last resort in the fight. We're just gonna have to wait and see. I can admit it though, this manga is cooking so far. We're only on chapter 3. Before you know it, the meme of this manga is actually gonna become a reality if it keeps on being popping like this. Let me know your thoughts for the chapter and let me know what you think is gonna happen. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like and sub button. It would really help me out. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you on the next one.